And that means you can't rely on the media as it is today either.
Oh, of course not. All the media in this country, radio, television, and print, is all owned by 5 corporations. All of these corporations that own the media are owned and controlled, and members of the Council on Foreign Relations sit on the board of directors.
Can you name those 5?
One basic truth can be used as a foundation for a mountain of lies. And if we dig down deep enough in the mountain of lies and bring out that truth to set it on top of the mountain of lies, the entire mountain of lies will crumble under the weight of that one truth. And there's nothing more devastating to a structure of lies than the revelation of the truth upon which the structure of lies was built, because the shockwaves of the revelation of the truth reverberate and continue to reverberate throughout the earth for generations to follow, awakening even those people who had no desire to be awakened to the truth.
There is no job worth $2 million a year.
Recorder of
That's why they
man's
pay
deeds,
athletes.
the keeper of his conscience, the courier of his news, that we look for strength and assistance. Without debate, without criticism, no administration and no country can succeed, and no republic can survive.
All right. It's Sunday. It's still Sunday. Done a few videos today. It's May 17th, 2020. Hope you are all having a great Sunday evening. We got a good one lined up. We got Douglas Cirignano back, the author of American Conspiracies and Cover-Ups. If you have not checked out, he's got a great website. You need to get over there, check it out. This is like our 3rd little video in an installment. Hopefully here soon you'll be seeing him possibly over on the American Joe or the Robert Norris show. We're trying to get him lined up with a few other great patriots. The research shows, even with all of our phones and technology and digital devices at our disposal, all the, online streaming, that picking up a book and reading it is still one of the best forms of getting information. It really sticks with you. I enjoy nothing better than that. Sometimes late in the evening, even some of the older books, I'm always looking for the new ones. So we're going to get a few of these books in our possessions. I'm, of course, going to take read it and probably hold on to one. But we'll hand a few out at our Patriot Fest. Maybe send a few out through the mailbox lottery that we typically do here sometimes for some of the challenge coins and some of the other things that we, show you guys from time to time here. I always have a hard time getting this to focus, and it might not. But anyway, Armor of God coin, there it is, if I come in slow. So we hand those out from time to time, and I dropped it. All right, so we're gonna jump right in here. We're gonna get our returning guest again. Welcome, Doug from American Conspiracies and Cover-Ups.com. I like to get that right. And maybe the mods can drop that in the link. How are you doing this evening, Doug?
Good, great. It's great to be back. Thanks for having me back.
Again, I'm sure some of the people here remember you, but I just saw some people, hey, I'm new to the show. Why don't you take a minute, tell everyone how you got into a position to even write a book, what was your interest, and maybe tell them a minute about where they can find you at, your website, and your, what social media you're part of. But yeah, take a minute. Go ahead.
Oh, great. Yeah. Well, my book is American Conspiracies and Cover-Ups. It's a book of interviews with some of the most famous conspiracy theory authors in the world. Got Jim Marrs on the New World Order, G. Edward Griffin on the Federal Reserve, Noam Chomsky on media. I got one of Lyndon Johnson's lawyers about the Kennedy assassination. Got David Ray Griffin on 9/11. There's 12 altogether. Published by Skyhorse Publishing, which is one of the biggest publishers of conspiracy theory literature. And so my website is AmericanConspiraciesAndCover-Ups.com. You got to put a slash between cover and ups. And it's good to be here again. I think we got some good things to talk about.
All right. I hope it's great to have you back. So that is interesting. And possibly I will be, getting in touch with somebody that you work with over there, the publishing, to have another person on, or your, I think it was the guy that helped you publish, have him on even, because he's done lots of work, right?
I know another author, Donald Jeffries, which
That's
probably a lot of you guys might have heard. I'll get in touch with him. He can get in touch with you. He knows a lot about what's really going on with history and politics, and I think he'd be a good guest for you. I think you guys would like him. I also might be able to get Sean Stone, because he did a recommendation for my book, and he knows a lot about this stuff too. I think he's an interesting guest. I'll try to get him too. That'd be interesting.
Yeah.
He's Olive Stone's son.
I would love that. No, I would put me in touch with both of those guys, and definitely tell Sean. I would love to just have him on. It doesn't have to be, like I said, no agendas. Tell him just free flow, whatever we want to talk about. But I would love to. So some of the other things me and you were discussing, and I got some notes here, but medical and cancer establishment. What do you think on that? I guess the New World Order's control, maybe on possibly cures versus even, let's treat this permanently, or for the rest of your life, take a pill every day or something, a smorgasbord of pills every morning.
Yeah, really. Yeah. That was one of the interviews I did in my book, a guy named Dr. Ralph Moss, who's one of the leading authorities on alternative treatments for cancer. And there's been so many times where a doctor has a good treatment for cancer and the FDA swoops down on him and shuts him down. And it's really suspicious, It really seems like the powerful guys who are fascists, who are Luciferians, they probably control the medical establishment. And they probably don't want any good cures to come in for cancer because they probably want the world depopulated. They want everybody to take their medicines and sell chemotherapy and make millions of dollars. A lot of the biggest cancer foundations were financed by the Rockefellers, who are New World Order people, I think. And now a lot of the important medical institutions are being financed by Bill Gates. And, this relates now to what's happening with the pandemic, because there's a movie out now called Plandemic. I don't know if you saw it. This woman, she used to work with Anthony Fauci, this guy who's in control of the coronavirus pandemic now. And she says this guy is a blatant liar and he can't be trusted. In the past, like he's taken financing. If there's some good treatment for some disease, Fauci will lie about it because he's taking so much money from people who want to sell us drugs. So I don't know. I don't know if I believe anything this guy Fauci says. He's invested in the vaccine companies. I mean, this is their plan to get us all to take a vaccine, maybe an unhealthy vaccine, so they depopulate the world, or maybe they want us to get a chip in, and unless you have that chip, you have the vaccine, you're not going to be able to function in society. So I think there's a lot of reasons to believe this guy Fauci really can't be trusted. And he's the guy in charge of it.
Yeah. And I kind of find it odd that, like you said, Bill Gates, all these people, that they all invested in this company possibly, or this medical place over in China, not the hundreds that are here or the million other places they could have, but this one. And then this is where the leak comes from, the flu came out of, or this corona. It is very interesting. Now, just in our research, with, D-Class, even things like Q, even over on Alex Jones is in the InfoWars in the past. We've talked about the cures possibly being out there and being suppressed by these people. But like you said, there's not really a lot of money in a cure. Here's a pill, take it for a week. There's 14 of them. You should be cured. Yeah. They'd rather give you something daily or weekly or something you need monthly, and for the rest of your life.
Yeah. And that might be the case with hydroxychloroquine, which now the FDA is saying that this is dangerous, this stuff. I think that's total nonsense because if you go online, there are a lot of doctors who have given this hydroxychloroquine to their patients, and they say it works and it's not dangerous. But the FDA, which is Bill Gates funds the FDA a lot, and it's funded by the big pharmaceutical companies who want us to take vaccines, who probably want to kill us off because they're the New World Order. And so I think that's a lie. I think hydrochloroquine. I think it works. I think it's safe. And if Trump said it's, maybe we should try this. And the media comes down on him. The same people who control the pharmaceutical companies control the media. They want us to take a vaccine. But there are a lot of doctors who have nothing to do with big pharma, and they say that drug works,
Yeah. So, they're not allowed to go outside the realm of what's like approved. So like the doctors are in the buildings, but then there's the medicine. That's a whole nother industry. A lot of people might not understand that breakdown, but they're only allowed to like pitch what's authorized by this medical board or the hospital itself. And if it's unproven by the FDA, like you say, or what do they call that? Doctors that just operate with natural stuff, that stuff gets you in trouble, get you fired, or it's not authorized. So they're not allowed to talk about it, even though they might know that it could work. Like, hey, we very rarely seen the doctor kind of lean in and whisper, like, just go get some honey and boil this with that and take a couple droplets of it and you're gonna be fine. You're gonna, and they might practice this at home. These same doctors that can't tell you that can say that they'll go home and not take the pills because they know that the pills have a laundry list of what it's gonna, your liver could fail. Restless leg syndrome pops up. All these side things, don't they?
Yeah.
Sometimes.
These guys are real fascist New World Order control over the medical establishment. And this really relates to the pandemic and what they're telling us. There was a guy named Dr. Linus Pauling. He believed he won the Nobel Prize for chemistry. And he believed that multi-doses of vitamin C could help you if you have cancer and even cure you. But he couldn't get any cooperation because the pharmaceutical companies, they can't patent vitamin C. So this guy, he won the Nobel Prize for chemistry. He eventually said, everyone should know that the war on cancer is largely a fraud. And he was a Nobel Prize winner for chemistry. So I think his opinion was worth listening to.
Well, yeah. Well, Obama was a Nobel for Peace Prize or whatever. Oh. So I think that might be a fraud as well. No, well, you made a good point, and I think it's the powers that be. We know that you can't package up, free energy, for example. If we had some Tesla technology, magnets, you can't sell free energy for very long. You sell the parts and then you own it and you're done. They'd rather have you on that. Almost everything has to have a meter on it. The meter gas. You're going to go from full to empty. You got to get more. As you bring electricity into your home, they want to see how much you're using. It's a forever thing. But I mean, it was doing so well, like you said. I'm with you. They tried everything to stop Trump's great economy. And then all of a sudden, by chance, this thing falls into their lap. I mean, hey, it's natural, this pandemic, but they're really using it to their advantage. I mean, do you think, we know that on that side, they probably cheated Bernie again for the second time. Biden probably, right? I mean, did he do it again? I mean, probably so.
Oh yeah, I wanted that as a talking point. Yeah, it seems, you don't hear a lot about that. It seems like Bernie was so ahead of Biden. Thousands would show up for his rallies, and Biden wasn't even campaigning. And if he had a rally, like 100 people showed up. But then all of a sudden, Biden wins on Super Tuesday. Isn't that suspicious? Oh man, this guy's a lifelong politician. He knows who to connect to steal the election, I think.
Well, with all these, no more than 50 or 100 can gather, even as we open back up in states, Biden will probably be able to resume his rallies where Trump would not, because
yeah, because he only gets like 15 people. Yeah. And in my book, I interviewed Bev Harris. She's like the author of Black Box Voting, which is considered the the best book on how elections are stolen, and so that's a good interview in my book. But I think this also relates to, if if Biden stole it from Bernie, which he probably did, is he going to try to steal it from Trump? Are the Democrats going to do that? They want mail-in voting that can be corrupted, and they want no voter ID. You need an ID for everything. Why not for voting? Right? So I think we can't do mail-in voting, and we should have voter ID, because otherwise, obviously, the Democrats are going to send a whole bunch of illegal aliens in there to vote for Biden and try to steal the election. I think,
I think that's one of the big reasons they push these corporations and stuff. They're good at pulling at your heartstrings, folks. Oh, they're hungry and they just want work, and that's the least I'm concerned about, the hungry men and women and children that are, but really it's about like he said, a whole new group of citizens here that will vote the way that they want them to vote. And it's a way to steal the election. Because these corporations can be sending food, like Walmart. If they really cared, Walmart, they can send food, they can send money, their profit, whatever they wanted, if they wanted to help these other countries. They don't need to come here to be able to work at Walmart at a really cheap rate. And that's it's really about: cheap labor, and keeping the wages down. That way they don't have to pay the American $10 or $11 an hour. They can pay, so that's how they play the games. But yeah, other than that, to steal the election. So what do you think? What do you think? With all the ramp up, don't you think they made Biden the front runner, got rid of everyone else, and then they're going to let Biden go down, I think, under this Tara Reid or something, China, some of his dealings, and then that way it cleans the slate more. And then I don't think they'd go back to anyone that they already had. I think it's now like, well, no, they weren't good enough. Biden got it, but now Biden went down. Now it's like maybe the stage for Hillary to enter, or
Oh, you think that's going to happen? Yeah. Because look, lately, all these bad stories about Biden, the girl accusing him of abuse, and now they're really harping on, did he know about investigating Flynn? I can't believe all these, usually they protect Biden in the media, but now it's maybe they're trying to take him down.
Yeah, because they eat their own over there. They they really do. They'd steal from their own mothers. So there you go. That's a like you said. Biden goes on a talk show Friday morning, and what did you know about Trump or unmasking of Flynn? Well, I think his legal team did, and then he talked for 4 minutes incoherently, and then he's like, "Oh, I thought you were asking me about his legal case."
Yeah, sure.
But no, I knew nothing, and then it got leaked later, or they declassified it properly, and it came out that he knew everything. He was an unmasker. So not that he knew nothing, he knew everything, and he just lied to George Stephanopoulos. So there's Biden for you.
Yeah. Is it possible, like some patriots in the government, maybe connected to Q, they're releasing these bad stories about Biden? Is that a possibility to try to make people see that Trump's actually the honest guy?
Well, it's like, it could be. We've been told D-Class was coming by Q for sure. Trump's been talking about it. Trump then did it, and then we've been waiting on Barr or whoever to go through things to actually see what they want to declassify. Now people can start saying this is systematic, and as these people lie in real time, they're going to get them, and that's political. That's weaponizing. Now, honestly, I don't know what other better way to do it. It's been coming, and it seems like, it's exposing it in real time. What else can you call it? It's like, I know nothing. Like, I would like to see some of these phone calls released and declassified from Obama's era or Biden. Let's hear Biden on the phone with China. Let's hear Biden on the phone over with the Ukraine. Talked to them for 2 years, and once they fired that prosecutor guy, he was on the phone with the new one for the next 3 days, 4 times, so let's hear those and see what they're talking about. Hey, let's get back to business as usual. Now that we got rid of this guy, and I don't want nobody looking into my son, damn it. We'll probably hear that kind of stuff. And then let's see. He's acting real confused. He's acting confused as hell right now, because when that actually comes, he just wants to keep acting confused, like, and then they're like, he belongs in a loony bin, and But like you said, you don't think he's acting. It could be. What was that? You? Somebody was telling me they've seen dementia, or they've seen, and they think that's what's really. I just can't believe they're covering for that. Like, the media would attack Trump on the slightest misword. They're just blatantly not even covering him doing this, acting like, oh, that's just Biden.
Oh yeah,
Kind of scary.
Sure. You know, they're trying to come up with so many things against Trump, that he colluded with Russia, that he did something wrong with Ukraine. But now the whole obvious truth is that it's Obama and Biden who are doing bad things and breaking the law. You know, It's encouraging. You know, maybe the truth is coming out. Maybe a great awakening is coming. You know? And
No, that's
we're getting to see who the real corrupt liars are.
And that's, you know, some people were like, that don't exist, or a lot of people like, I wish that was happening, Mike, but that's just, and I'm thinking, we've been dealing with a lot of evil, and if you got evil, we all know that good does exist. I believe there are good patriots embedded into our military still, and throughout our government. I think there was a coup of bad people. I think there's a lot of good, and I think there's just some middle ground in-betweeners that are law-abiding people, and they're with compartmentalization, the way it works, you don't need to have a whole bunch of evil people. You just need to have like one key evil person give bad orders, and people will follow along without even knowing what the hell they're doing. That's the way it works. So I'm a big believer in that. But yeah, I think we're seeing some good truth. Trump said it. Here's the way I take it. He has not been in government long enough to care about declassing a bunch of stuff. He doesn't have he hasn't held prior office, so he has no dog in the race to, like, I'm going to declassify everything before, you know, how about I declassify everything from yesterday, because he can say everything from the minute I got in the office. You know, all he's been doing is fighting to try to do things, so there's nothing there even. He can declassify everything from today backwards, and it wouldn't affect him. Now it would affect these 30-year people in politics because of all their, who knows what the hell kind of conversations and text and things they've been caught up in. We know there's that whole, with these people get caught up in like sexual misconduct or whatever, there's a fund out of our taxpayer dollars to pay people off, and we never hear about it. I mean, let's look at that stuff, you know. You know, it's like a way to keep everything quiet. The media doesn't promote it. They don't talk about it. So it's weird.
I think when he was a businessman, I think maybe Trump might have done a few shady things. But as a politician, as president, I see him doing nothing but good things. I mean, you know, the economy was taken off before this damn pandemic. And but some people are saying now that maybe he's going along with the idea that we need a vaccine too much. And in that way, he's selling out to the New World Order. I don't know about that. I hope.
I was going to bring that up right when we started the show, that I just heard him say, somebody was really worried about kind of what you just said, but I took it, and I think it was from 3 days ago. He's out there in the Rose Garden, and he said, oh yeah, there's a vaccine, you know, it's getting approved, but not everyone's going to want to go along with it. And I think that's a choice of the American people. If they don't want to take it, they're not going to take it, and they don't have to. So he was like standing up for the average person that wouldn't want to, and they're not going to, and we're not going to make them. There's no mandating, nothing.
Yeah.
So again, I don't know if he didn't just step into the states, and that was a point of my last video, federalism, which is the middle ground. And I think historically and traditionally, presidents have somewhat in the past, before Reagan, kind of pre-Reagan, had somewhat stayed neutral. And it's gotten worse. You know, we saw like Clinton, and then Bush, and then the extreme with Obama, and now Trump. And the states really pushed for Trump, or the reporters and other people. We need to shut down the whole country. They were trying to force him to do martial law. When Trump's like, no, I like a thing called the Constitution, and states need to do their own things. And some are doing it more proper than others, but we'll see at the end. And we are now. We're seeing states reopen. We're seeing some that are saying no. We're seeing some that are already open. We're seeing some that never shut down. Schools never shut down. The jobs never went away, and they got really low numbers. And these are like 8 states I've been looking into that just totally didn't play into it. We didn't hear much about it in the media because the media wanted to focus on the hospitals and all the shock culture of what was going on in the places elsewhere. So anyway, I don't know. And to me, you have to like applause Trump for not taking advantage, because typically with the pandemic that we just had, a president, probably Obama, would have created a whole new arm of government in the octopus of the federal government and had a whole new department to focus on the next pandemic that's coming. And we never would, it would have been a whole new, and Trump didn't. He's like, nah, we'll grab this guy from over here, pre-existing people. We'll form a little committee on the fly. Well, you're taking people from other jobs. You need to create a new department. And another $1 billion, $1 trillion line of credit coming in from taxpayers. You know how they do it. So I applaud them on that one thing there. I mean, and many other things, but for this one that I just thought of, that's the way it was supposed to work. But now what do you do if you got a treasonous governor that's, trampling over your constitutional rights? What do you do, about that? People are going to beg me. My buddy was saying, well, maybe we could write the federal government. You ask for help at that point. I mean, Abraham Lincoln did that. He took down, suspended habeas corpus and took down some treasonous state people that were going against them, that were wanting to succeed. I don't know. There's different histories on that, and then people, have their different thoughts and opinions on that, just that whole concept there. What's far enough? Bottom line is, I thought this whole time it was going to be the federal government, but it ended up being more states. So it's interesting. So like even the New World Order concept, I thought that was going to be more so federal government implementing or demanding things, but man, it seems to be states right now.
I think they realize they have to get into the specific regions throughout the country. They can't try to get to world government, from the federal. They have to. I think the Agenda 21 program, they're trying to implement it in all areas, because it's very tough for just the president to say, okay, martial law, New World Order.
We're going to do this. Get it going. Yeah, the people live in the states, and then you'd want to implement things in the states more so, I guess. You're right. That makes sense. That's where the people are at. So the voter ID, we do need IDs for everything, like you said. We can name a few: liquor, alcohol in general, cigarettes, lottery tickets. If you want to go into a casino, if you want to go to an R-rated movie, you need to show an ID to be 18. So what's the big deal with the voter thing? Just to show.
They're against that. Like Hillary's against it, Pelosi's against it. I mean, it's so obvious. I mean, you're right. You need voter ID for everything. We can't let that happen,
Yeah, no. My grandpa was a lifelong Republican. I don't really consider myself Republican. I do line up with the Republican Party a lot more. I'm kind of a constitutionalist, I guess. And I do seem to line up. A lot of people, you're Republican and conservative. I'm like, I definitely line up with their views of the border and guns. So therefore, you can. And I voted for Trump this last time for sure. No issues there, and it's he lined up with what I was saying. Now Trump's even calling out the Republican Party a lot, and he's saying that they're, he was on an independent ticket, but he never would have won, so he kind of used the Republican Party. I don't even know if he's truly Republican. People are like, "He used to be Democrat," and it's like, well, you don't know. He just used that party possibly. But my grandpa again was a lifelong. Never would he have voted, Democrat until recently. Now that he's had passed away, he had voted, Democrat. And I was joking. See, the Democrats sometimes use the dead. They get the numbers come back from the dead, and they vote left. So.
I think the New World Order, they control both the Democrats and Republicans, And so.
Yeah.
But Trump's not a professional politician. He sort of He's not a member of the Council on Foreign Relations. He doesn't go to the Bilderberg.
CFR, yes.
So he's apart from the deep state, and that's why he's doing good things, I think.
Well, you made it a point there. I think they would sit back. I was telling people how this works sometimes. If the New World Order had their puppets in there, and you had a guy on the left, kind of like in the 2012, you had I would say possibly McCain was their New World Order puppet for the right, and then you had Obama. So if you get it down, if 6 months before the election, which is always June or so of that summer beforehand, they pick their people from the left and right, and that's who's propped up. The New World Order would sit back. We got it, we got the next 4 months, but yet who's left in there is McCain and Obama. No matter what, we're good. And that was the guys. I think there is free will. I think the cheating, of course, happens on the state level because that's where all the voting happens. But I think there are, lots of crooked people out there. People that are in the voting places. There's literal leftist people that hate Trump so much that they would be willing to rip up your ticket or change it or do whatever they can to get their way.
Oh, yeah.
That happens as well. That happens as well.
Well, I mentioned that one talking point that I feel like since Trump isn't a part of the deep state, since Trump, I wrote that email to you, since Trump became president, it seems like all these terrorist shootings have stopped, haven't they? Doesn't it seem like? What did he do? He did something right. I was getting so sick of that. When Obama and Bush were president, every 4 or 5 weeks, another terrorist shot up 10 or 20 people. That was making it seem to have stopped with Trump now, right?
Yeah.
You think he did something right?
Well, unless there was some major orchestration coming out of this coup. I mean, if we had a coup in there if we're uncovering a coup right now that was propped up to be president, maybe put in cheatfully back 8-10 years ago, and then we also know Obama cheated in the 2012 election. They were already spying back then. They spied on who was his opponent, not McCain so much, but he was also
Romney.
Yep, yep. He got spied on. Obama weaponized the IRS, shut down over 30 conservative groups that would have helped Romney or whatever, and so that happened, and he horned it in by the 2016 election. So if you're willing to cheat the American people in an election, try to undermine it, try to reverse the vote, there's not I don't think there's much of a limit of what you wouldn't do on other things like you were talking about there. So, they did this, we got caught over here, but we would have never done stuff like that. Oh yeah, you would, which is like orchestrate nightclub shootings and I think that was all to help feed the narrative for, they were ramping it up heavily under Obama, because then when Hillary took over, it was under Obama and under Hillary, we were supposed to have the 16-year plan to end America, like to really make us third world, diluted, lawless, Civil War, post-Civil War type kind of scenario. Take all of our guns under her because we're just so lawless and everything's going to shit over here that they were gonna, under her we'd lose our guns.
Yeah. Who revealed that?
That was one of the things we dug into and we found and we pieced together. And there's a nice meme out there I could probably send you that shows Obama and Hillary up on each and left and right, and it just shows little squares of systematically what he did in 8 years, and then got to the end. Everything that was on there was what he did, and then it was going to roll into Hillary with the things she was supposed to do. They sold that uranium in 2009, and we had that whistleblower that was part of the some American company that dealt with uranium, and he couldn't believe what he was seeing in 2009, so he ran to the FBI and he's like, I'm seeing these guys are Russians. I know they're saying it's Canada, but they're Russians, and there's kickbacks, there's blackmail, kickbacks. It's just really bad. And the FBI is like, we're going to keep you in there working. You work for us now. And they had him sign some disclosure stuff, and then they let him go to keep working. And then they were meeting with him once a week. Well, he sat there for the rest of 2009 telling them stuff week after week, giving them everything, telling them stuff, going along further than what he would because he was authorized to. And then 2010 came, and then the sale still happened under Hillary, and he couldn't believe that. And he's like, well, maybe they're going deeper with it to see where, okay, they're going to sell it anyway. And then no, nothing. Boom, boom, boom. years and more years, and then 2013, 14, 15, this guy's got disclosures. He couldn't believe everything that happened, and then he started seeing the Trump narrative. Way later, 2016, Trump running the narrative of Russia, and then that's when he said hell with this, and he threatened to go. He got a lawyer. He went to the FBI. They told him, you sign disclosures. If you go to Congress with anything, we'll throw you in jail and ruin your life. And that was under Mueller. Mueller was the damn head of the thing back then. So he lawyered up, finally got in front of Congress, and then they demanded all the paperwork, what the hell they were doing. This whistleblower was telling you guys all this stuff in 2009. And then they were like, well, Hillary let it go. Hillary blames 17 other agencies or 13 other agencies had to sign off on it. It wasn't just her State Department. And well, if you guys would have shared this informant's information with all committees and all groups, nobody would have went for this sale. Ended up being Russia. That's how we transferred 20% of our country's uranium to Russia through that damn deal. So anyway, that was supposed to be sold secretly in 2009. Under Hillary's presidency, we were supposed to find out about it. They were going to find out about it. Like, she's going to be like, we got duped in 2009. It was Russia. We need to go to war. So they were supposed to be a war with Russia based on this uranium sale from 2009. That's all been played out now because of Trump and this whistleblower and channels like our own. They aren't going to get away with that crap, but they were trying to create a nuclear war.
Yeah, we were very close to a nuclear war under Obama.
Yep.
With Russia.
Yep.
And the fact that Trump came in and he sort of wanted to negotiate with Russia, people were criticizing him for that. It was probably better to negotiate a little than to have a nuclear war, you know? I mean, I think Obama put a bunch of nuclear missiles around Russia. And I guess maybe Trump did the same thing with the guy in Korea, you know? Maybe it's a little better to negotiate with this maniac and instead of getting us closer to war, you know? That's another great thing Trump is doing. He's trying to stop all the endless wars, useless wars. I think Trump was like a young man in the 60s. You know, he looks like he's got a Beatles haircut or a John F. Kennedy haircut, and he wants to fix the establishment and end the wars. And I think we got to have faith because I think they brought this pandemic in to try to destroy Trump. But I just read his tweet yesterday. He said, you know, we had a great economy right before the pandemic, and we're going to get back there again. And I think if we have faith, you know, I think we can do the right things here and get back to where we were.
I agree fully. I see
I
here
know
your talking points on false flags, terrorist shootings. Yeah, Q has mentioned, you know, be careful of false flags. We were warned throughout the last couple of years, like within a week, sometimes FFs are intimate, like they're coming. And then something would, you know, whether it was the school shooting and stuff. We sat here and, I mean, he talks about big pharma. He talks about the possible or the cures are there. You know, why are they being suppressed? I think Trump with even Space Force, that's the way to get all the contracts back out of all these private companies' hands. You know, Lockheed Martin, you know, Northrop Grumman. All these, you know, Oshkosh, AM General. There's tons of these government contracting places that they use, and you're allowed to keep things a little bit more wrapped up in secrecy than you could in the government anymore. But yeah, there's been hints on all that. There's cures and free energy is coming. Trump's going to release some of that stuff, some of the technology that the government's been holding for 100+ years, 50 years, you know.
Oh, well. Oh, what was he saying, Trump? He said there might be a cure for AIDS. He's probably telling the truth, right?
Yeah.
I mean, when he was talking about hydroxychloroquine, that stuff works, even though the media says it doesn't work, the FDA says it doesn't work. There's so many doctors who've used that stuff, and it helps people with coronavirus.
Yeah,
so, like, media is full of it, the FDA is full of it, and Trump is telling the truth there.
Yes.
I think a lot of the shootings were probably brought on. I see one guy in the chat room. He says the deep state does the shootings, you know, and I think that might be true because they want us to give up our guns, you know. But that's the way you get the big brother in the New World Order is if the whole society doesn't have any guns, and so maybe all these shootings that were happening under Bush and Obama were being done by deep state in an effort to get us to abandon the Second Amendment, which we shouldn't do, I don't think. And
Yeah.
but now they seem to have stopped under Trump, and I'm happy to see that. You
I
think
think
Trump did
that's-
something?
Yeah, I think he won the presidency, and that just messed up their whole plan. We wouldn't be hearing anything about anything if Hillary was president right now. We wouldn't know anything about Flynn, all the whole cover up. If she would have won, that would have what they did to Trump's election would be hidden to the fullest degree. I think it's funny that these people operate on the matter that you don't know something, Doug. Like there's something like Adam Schiff. He's privy. Adam Schiff is part of that committee on the left for the left to look at intel. And then you had that Devin Nunes who was on the right. He's a Republican, and he was looking at the same information that Adam Schiff could. Way back in 2016 or whatever, early 17, that Devin Nunes saw something that freaked him out in classified information that only people on the panel can see. So he ran to the White House. That Adam Schiff could have looked at the same paperwork, and I'm assuming he did, but he called out, his constituent for running to the White House. That's who, Trump, and you shouldn't be over there, and who'd you talk to? And then we went 3 years with all these bull crap things, and then just a couple months ago that they're like, well, Schiff, Nunes was right the whole time, and he was screaming this back in the thing where you said he was wrong, he's an idiot, we need to get him off the committee, and now to find out he's right, he's like, well, I think we found out a lot of things that we didn't know. And it's like,
Oh yeah,
well, we, the people, didn't know, but you would have if you would have looked at it like he did, and I'm assuming you did, but since it was classified, you just operate like an idiot. I think that's how these people do it. Biden, all of them. They know there's so many things classified, and then they're like, there's something I know, but it's over here classified. 99% of the world doesn't know it, so I'm just going to play into the lie. And then when it gets leaked, they just have to be, well,
that guy, Schiff, yeah, I think Schiff was being blackmailed because he went to this guy out in California, a big Democratic donor, and he had drug and sex parties. And
yeah, at
the
hotel
yeah.
that the Standard.
And
Is it the Standard?
Schiff went there, and 2 guys ended up dead there. Schiff apparently went to these parties. I mean, that's what Jeffrey Epstein doing. They get these powerful people to go to these, immoral gatherings, and then they blackmail them.
Get
So I think they
pictures,
got that
get hidden video, hidden pictures of them doing drugs, touching kids, or just doing bad things in general, folks.
I think Schiff
That's
went to
exactly.
that. For the guy, yeah. So that's why this guy Schiff is so full of it. He's being blackmailed, I think. Just like, I guess Bill Clinton was. He went to Jeffrey Epstein's island 26 times. Jeez.
Yeah, the flight records. Bill Gates, Stephen, what was it? Hawkins. Which one was in the wheelchair?
Yeah. Hawkins, yeah. He was there?
Yeah, I got pictures of him there and everything. Yeah, I think he went into a sub. Did he go into a submarine? Yeah, because he bragged about going into a submarine or something. Because Epstein had a sub that came up under that island that we think was a way to really bring things in and out of there.
You know what are Christmas lights and Jeffrey Epstein? 2 things that don't hang themselves. Yeah.
That's good. That's real good.
I think a lot of that goes on. A lot of that goes on. They're blackmailing the powerful people in Washington. But I think Trump isn't a part of that. He got a pretty wife, and so he doesn't isn't going to get blackmailed in any way.
Well, I always put it to, I have video of Trump saying when he was running, he says, I used to be I'm a former insider. So, and you can relate that to almost a lot of the people that we hold up on a pedestal, or the dissenters, the people that leave these programs and say, I used to be part of this. This is what they're doing over there. that's where we get our information from, folks. We got like people like Phil Schneider. I used to build underground DUMS bases. I didn't really know what I was part of until they brought me in further and further. And I was one of the contractors that did a lot more than 10%. So then he started learning. And then when he found out things that just didn't mesh, he ran away from that and starts talking. There's lots of those people. Some people even hold Edward Snowden up to that. You know, Q's told us different story on Edward Snowden, that he worked for the CIA, and that the CIA put him over to the NSA to do exactly what he did. Go work there. We'll get you in through this Wilkes Booth company, whatever it was called, something Booth. You know, you're going to look like you work for the NSA. He took a dream job over in Hawaii, and then that's when he like left, walked out with the Rubik's Cube with the little thumb drive in it. And he said, I just care, you know, this was bad stuff they were doing. And it maybe was. I mean, even the NSA, their spying programs, it was all real information. But the reason Edward Snowden did it was a lie, supposedly. Like in the movie that we were talking about, Stone, Oliver Stone, he made that movie Snowden. I'm sure you've seen it. Really great, kind of Hollywood. I'm not sure. I'm sure Stone even might have talked to Snowden to make sure he got the story right. But that would be Snowden's version. If you're in the middle of a lie, you know what I'm saying? I wouldn't blame Oliver Stone. He did his research, talked to the guy that's still alive, and this is what he's telling you. So you can go off that. But folks, there's an information war going on, and the CIA needed the NSA to get a bunch of heat and get into some trouble and to have all ears and eyes on them, while over here the CIA was able to operate a little freely while all the noise was over on them. So that's.
Are you saying Snowden was like a puppet of something?
Yeah,
he's not a real whistleblower.
Yeah, the story is he's just a good whistleblower that, you know, was a patriot and cared about our country. But the real story that I've come to find out to believe was he worked for the CIA. They put him as a contractor, got him over to go and infiltrate the NSA. When I was in the service, you'd have the CIA coming around, NSA, all them. The CIA would come talk to like Navy SEALs on missions and want to get information from the military intelligence. So it's like the NSA has their little memorandum book, and they'll ask, like, so they'll come up on the scene of a crime and be like, you know, hey, da-da-da from CIA. Oh, hey, you know, it's like, what do you guys have? What do you know? And, you know, get everything from the military intelligence, the MI or the, you know, NSA or, oh, we got a blah, blah, blah. Well, what do you guys have? You know, they'll ask back and they're like, flip their book shut and be like, oh, we got nothing. And then walk off. They'll get all your information, but they don't want to share any of theirs back with you. And that was the same problem with 9/11. Do you remember? They were saying they were tracking the terrorists into the country. The FBI comes on during those court proceedings, like, we are tracking these 8 terrorists. And then the CIA was saying, well, we had them overseas, but once we enter into the country, we're not allowed to do work in the country. That becomes the FBI's job. And then they blamed the FBI not sharing information with the CIA and the CIA not sharing information with the FBI. So there was the blame. It was not really any agency's fault. It was that our policies didn't allow them to share information. So then they talked about, Bush was like, we're going to change that. We're going to take some pen to paper. And now next time we have something happen, that won't happen. So it's always like, that's how they get out of things, right? You know, it was paperwork fault. And, you know, the emails couldn't flow freely. Now they can, but they don't. It's all a lie.
You think the CIA is going to be disbanded? I think you said that the last time.
I think they're going to be able to exist. They're one of the oldest ones of the groups, and they kind of rogue. They like I said, they do not like to share information with other groups. I think I like to say 17 intelligence agencies. I think there's 18 now. I think the Space Force, I'm doing lots of investigating into that. It seems to fall into a weird category that no other agency falls under. And you can look into this yourself, and you might want to jot this down, or when you rewatch the show later, and all of you out there, listen to this. Space Force. I got a video on it, and I'm going to try to find that video, and I can actually send that video to you, Doug. And there's some word I'm not going to remember right now, but they don't have the same classification that even all branches of military have, that make them somehow fall up under the governors of states, and you have to report. So the Space Force is so new that they don't have this groundwork, and I don't know if they ever will. Maybe it was designed that way on purpose. But to me, it puts the Space Force at the head of the other intelligence agencies. So I don't think Space Force has anything to do with going to Mars, like Trump has even made jokes about. I think it's to do with the information flow. And I think Space Force now, or soon, or has been, or will be soon, the head of the pyramid of information, and they're going to get it all. Like, and that's what we've been hearing with Q. Like, we got it all because of Space Force. So I don't. It's very interesting, and it's a way to have the control back, because there has been a control war between 17 agencies. Obama, on his way out, changed things to make them all intermingled so they can look at each other's stuff. And that's where we got all the leaks from for the first year in Trump's office, was a corroborated effort between all the agencies to leak massively on Trump to try to harm him more every day of his first year in office. Anyway, I'm still digging, but there's something to do with Space Force being at the peak, the head of all intel coming in and out of the country, or however, and now there's control to it, and they had the right to do it. Yes, because of after what happened, they tried to take out Trump in Vegas with that shooting, that guy that was arms dealer that worked for the CIA. If you look into that story, 2 weeks before he was in Vegas, he was in Chicago at Lollapalooza. There was a concert going on. He was in a Chicago hotel overlooking the Lollapalooza concert, and he was going to blow out the window then and shoot people. But there was also supposed to be a meeting at that hotel that night with Trump. That didn't happen because Trump bailed out. So then that whole thing fell apart. And then they waited 2 weeks later, and they did it in Vegas with that country concert, the hotel, Tropicana, whatever, overlooking. And that night, Trump was there. So now Trump escaped.
He's going to try to shoot Trump?
That was how that was supposed to go down that night. That was supposed to be an assassination attempt on Trump.
Oh.
He was on the same floor. Trump, if you look into who owns those floors, by the way, that night that happened, it was that Al Salawib from Saudi Arabia, and then above it was it Bill Gates? I don't know. Those floors that were owned by these same names that we always hear, but that guy was supposed to. And I'm going to say that guy. I don't think that guy had really anything to do with it. I think he was the pawn, the face, the Oswald. All right, he was the Lee Harvey. Something else much more happened there. There's no coincidence that all the floors surveillance wasn't working, right? Come on.
I can believe it, because I think Trump is really going against the establishment. I can believe that they're going to try to assassinate him. I hope it doesn't happen. I hope we're going to vote him in for another 4 years, and we can make America great, and we can, because he's not a professional politician. So he's going to do what's right for the people, and maybe we'll have a great awakening. I got to study more what Q says, but I know that's part of it, right?
Yeah. Well, and put it this way, a lot of people are like, what? Like, I just told you about Trump being possibly trying to be, that night, and people, I never heard that. The media never told me that. Well, the media is complicit, and just like JFK, do you think the only, that might have been, the one that he got killed at when he was driving in Dallas?
There were more.
It worked out. The media was on scene, and that happened live time. So you got to witness that. Do you not think there was 20 more attempts that you never heard about beforehand, before that day? So you don't hear about it. Same with Trump. You're not going to hear about it until you get, you see it live. Like however that worked, whatever.
From what you know, are the Secret Service guys who protect Trump, are they patriots? Or from what you know?
Yeah, Trump's insulated big time with this. Like I said, I think this goes so deep. I think there has been a 20-year plan when we find out, when we're all sudden, and people now think like Q's been around 3 years and this is just starting to happen. I think we're going to find out that the plan started 20 years ago by good patriots that were in the military at the time. Some of them are out now, and that they even were taking this plan 20 years ago And 3 years into the plan, early on, September 11th happened. So we'll find out that it wasn't that clean. People are like, wow, Trump was able to take down the deep state and very minimal people. Nobody died without a shot fired. But really, there was. There were buildings that wrecked. The USS Cole got bombed. There was lots of false flag attacks. People died because there was nothing that can be done at that time 3 years into a 20-year takedown. We'll maybe find out in books and movies how deep and huge this goes, that to get our country back on track from a very evil system, that it took about 20 years of some patriots planning, and that the final phase of that plan to unfold was, some patriot that they needed to get in, which ended up being Trump, because they went and asked him to run. And you can only imagine 5 or 6 generals sitting around, some high-level generals that were part of this plan, part of the Q team, that had the manila envelopes with their guy that they researched that they thought can do this, that can play the role of the president and be the guy. Because you had to be famous at this point in our country. You have to be rich, you have to be famous, you have to have some money, some clout. Otherwise, you'd never make it. We get people that run in every state every year, folks, and they never get heard of. You never even see their face, because the mainstream will not show you that person, because they're nobodies. So I think the military knew that as well. They need somebody to play the role. Not that everyone's like, Trump's a genius, he's doing all these great things. I think it's a lot of great military that he's keeping close, that are advising him. So Trump is smart, there is no doubt, but he probably deserves an Emmy, maybe at the end of all this, more so than anything, an Emmy for trolling so well and keeping everyone distracted while some real things were happening. But I don't know.
Do you know who the guys are? Do you know who the guys are that put him in?
Yeah, that pulled them together. Nah, I mean, the story goes that they confronted him years ago about the plan, and he, at that point, maybe made some changes in his life. Maybe they told him they weren't concerned about. Like I said, I don't think anyone on planet Earth is perfect. So I don't think, he ain't done some wrong things. He did deals with these people. People always bring up, like, look at Trump in 1983. He did this. And I'm like, I have no doubt he did that. I have no doubt that he shook hands with some Rockefellers and things and made some deals.
I think he's admitted that. He said,
he has. So, but we know people that I always put it like it's like the bad guy that, or the real person, the citizen that does some bad things, makes some mistakes. They go to jail, and then they come out, and some people are like, "Oh, you're institutionalized for life, and I know you're a criminal." But sometimes those people have rehabilitated, and they're actually good, and they move forward. And who knows? Yeah. They asked for forgiveness from God, and they've moved forward, and they've been doing great things and helping mankind since. So nobody knows somebody's own day when they are. He says, I was a former insider. So to me, that means like former. So to be former, that means you had to have come to a conclusion in your life, and that's what people don't know. The story goes, they came to Trump, they told him the story. Hey, do you want to help? Do you want to help save the world? I can imagine somebody coming up to him and be like, yeah. For the history books, for whatever reason. But the story goes, he kind of built a bat cave. He kind of became like a Bruce Wayne. And they're saying, we're still trying to track Trump prior to him being president. If you go back to 2012, 2013, have you ever looked at Trump's Twitter from 2012 and 2011? I mean, it is raw. It is raw with information of him attacking Obama back then. This guy wasn't born here. And you can just take it to be Trump was an idiot back then. But I don't know. I think he was... There's reports that he was already on Twitter. There's this account that people say it was his. And I've been looking into that. You're trying to verify, and it almost looks like it was. It could have been. And they're saying that was him in this computer room that he had built, like Bruce Wayne, where he became, he had 30 panels, and he's sitting there, and he had it built. And that they took him down the Q path. These generals did, basically, with information that led him on for 3 or 4 years of him really getting in tune with information. And now then he won, and now they're taking us through one. It's like the version he went through, but maybe 2.0, a little updated because of information. I don't know.
You think there's more patriots in the military than New World Order puppets?
Yeah, I do. I don't, because of the compartmentalization. Now, when you get up to the higher grade, yeah, because when you say like military rank and file, I mean, if you take all branches, a couple of million. I just know there's too many people that were like myself, young 18-year-olds from anywhere USA, and I know that they weren't of malicious bad people. In the guise of how you can do something, it's like, if you're sitting on a ship of 6,000 people and I'm on the inside of that ship and they're telling me like, boom, we get hit by something and the whole ship rocked, and like, that was the Russians, I would believe it, every bit of it, in my mind real quickly. Oh my God, the Russians just bombed us. Now that could have been our own little drone that they turned on us and hit a couple, and told us whatever, and then pulled us into Russia and gave us guns and said, get off the ship and run in there and invade them. We all would have probably done it. And then you guys could have been at home laughing your asses off like, I just saw the whole thing. That was the Koreans that bombed them, and they're telling them it was the Russians. So that's the power of not knowing something. So I think it's always by subversion or lies and propaganda that they control people. I'm a big believer in that now, especially with this fake news media. They don't let up an inch.
Yeah. Well, it's dying. I think the New York Times is dying, isn't it? And the CBS is dying, CNN. Everybody's going to go to the Patriot Hour and InfoWars and Breitbart to get their information.
Or you'll probably maybe start a podcast here soon. You're writing books. You're learning truth. You're gonna. How's your state? How's your state doing? Real quick on opening back up. By the way.
Well, I live right near New York City. I'm on Long Island, and I think Manhattan is the worst place for coronavirus. So unfortunately, it's going to be a while before they open up. But there's other states I know where it's been very, very minimal amount of coronavirus deaths. So those states should open up. Wherever it hasn't been so bad, I think they should open up right away, because having a depression or economic problems is going to be worse than any problems we get from the coronavirus. And I think a lot of the deaths from coronavirus they're listed. They're not actually coronavirus deaths. I think it's exaggerated.
Yeah, they just I don't know what state it was, but they said like out of the 600 reported deaths, that only 6 can be confirmed to be truly coronavirus, where other ones were underlying symptoms, that they had. And then, so I don't know if we'll ever get the exact numbers, folks, or 100% truth. I
heard that there's an average amount of deaths between January and April for each year for the last 6 or 7 years. And the average, the amount of deaths from January to April this year is the same as the last 6-7 years. Shouldn't it be more if coronavirus has wiped out so many people?
Yeah.
So some people, that proves that it's exaggeration. That the
you're talking about like last year we had 60,000. We'll just give these numbers are not going to be accurate, but we'll use these numbers. But they're pretty accurate if I remember. I did an article or a video, but 60,000 normal influenza flu deaths last year, and then this year they're only like 14 or 11,000. Like that flu drop. Like, wow, we've always get 50 to 60,000 in the U.S. a year from the flu. This year we only got 10, but that coronavirus picked up all the numbers that we didn't get, and we ended up with the same amount of deaths that we would normally have last year during the flu season. This year we just had a new one come in, and they shut down the world for it. And the numbers took from the other numbers, but it didn't add. It's not like we had two things going on where we got 120,000 deaths. We still ended up on the 50, 60, 70,000 mark. Unbelievable. But, and they're like, well, it could have been much worse if we didn't. That's where you have to give faith into these liars and act like, okay, they did the right thing by shutting down the world. So we didn't have 1 million, because they were saying 2 million were going to die in the U.S.
Yeah.
So
One thing around New York here, they just had like a big protest in one of the boroughs in New York City. The people say, we want to go back to work. They had a big march. So hopefully that'll happen around the country. Trump says he wants to get the economy back to where it was before, and I think that's what we gotta work for. We gotta reelect him and do that. I think more and more people are maybe coming to the realization that we should be getting back to work.
yeah, I kind of made a prediction earlier on my last video that I think he's going to win by a landslide again. I don't think this is going to hurt him at all. I hope most people are aware of what's going on. Yeah, this vote from home is no good. And I think California's already got it going on. So that was the guys. I think we were supposed to get into this and be shut down and so scared, and we need to vote from home. And that was supposed to happen on a wide scale. And we all would have saw the country just turn blue. We would all sat home like, oh my gosh, wow, we really wanted Biden in. And that would have been how it went. So
people are starting to see through it, huh? Yeah.
I hope. All right. Yep. I see my mods dropping your book link. They've been dropping it in here. Get that book. Douglas Cirignano's book, available on Amazon there, folks. Make sure you get over there. Well, we're about at that mark. Do you have any word or feedback yet? Are you going to be on any shows coming up? As I can reach out again to the fellas, or I don't know if you've emailed. And
I sent an email to that American Joe. He hasn't got back to me yet, so maybe I should send him another one. Maybe you can tell him.
Yeah, I'll text him as well. He told me to make. He called me to ask. He said, I didn't mean to ignore you. I've been busy, so I know he's been busy, and he works as well. I think he's still working. I think he's considered, essential.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. The government can tell us who's essential and who's not.
Yeah, that's.
Thanks for having me on again, Mike. Thank you very much. And
yeah, no problem. Yeah, you'll be on again.
All right. I'm gonna get in touch with some of the other authors that I know.
Yeah,
I'll email them soon.
I appreciate that. We'll keep in touch. I got your number, you got mine. So anything new you come across, get in touch. We could always do this again, or just whatever. Here in a few weeks, I'll probably drop, touch base with you. I have no problem having you on, and I think you are very intelligent and you do good work. And I'm excited to get this book, and I'm gonna read it. I'll eat that book up real quick. That's how I do. Right. I like it.
Yeah,
I appreciate it. And like I said, we're going to hand some out at the, and if it's possible, you're more than welcome to come to the Patriot Fest in August and meet with some of the, I don't know, I can get you a number. So far, we've gotten quite a few. It looks like we're going to have several hundred Patriots showing up, if not more. And the event normally already has a couple hundred. So we're looking at a pretty good time coming up in August, folks. August 14th and 15th, that is, at the American Legion Post 143. It's going to be
on the East Coast.
It's right here in Indiana, actually. So from where you're at, I would say a drive, probably a good 10-hour drive, maybe 9. I don't know how far you actually are. I know Fluidpour came from. He was right there on the Pennsylvania side of New York. And then I drove from here to Binghamton, and I believe that took me, that's upstate. That took me about 12 hours or something.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
Yeah. So, all right, we'll talk soon, Doug. Have a great evening, and we'll catch you on the next one here, and we'll be looking forward to you on the American Joe or Robert Norr show, whatever you can do. And I got a few more in mind. I'll send you. I'm going to talk to them, and then I'll send you links as well. So, we'll hope to see you soon.
Good to be here. Thanks.
All right. Thank you. There you go, folks. That was Doug from AmericanConspiraciesAndCover-Ups.com. Get over to that website. Check it out. Great information. And we need all these people that that are here to help. Here trying to tell you things, and they do the work for you, and they put it all together, and then you can read it, and then you can branch off from there. You're going to learn so many things about the Fed Reserve, and just some of the hoaxes, some of the early on lies, Gulf of Tonkin. So great information, and just another patriot in the movement. Thanks to Face and Fluid Pour. I don't know who else was here modding it up, grilling maybe, but we appreciate all the work that you guys are doing. Tomorrow morning we got a live show lined up. I believe Fluid Pour will be here, Woodman and Ben. So look for the Oath of Four tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. We're gonna make sure we pull that off pretty early. The fellas, some of them, we all got things to do after that show, so we're gonna make sure we're pretty much right at 9:30. All right, I am Michael. This is the Patriot Hour. God bless each and every one of you, and we'll see you back here on the next Patriot Hour update video. Make sure you're subscribed. Share this video across all social media platforms while you can. God bless all the Patriots.